Hello and welcome to Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jake Lewitt, and on this show, myself and my regular co-host, Mark Hoffmeyer, normally go through the Deep Blue Sea franchise, one DVD chapter at a time. We have done all of that, and we've now moved on to Deep Blue Sea adjacent films featuring sharks, underwater action, or directed by Rennie Harlin. You might have been expecting Mark to be returning for an episode on Skip Trace this week. Unfortunately, that will be next week. Mark and I, our schedules, we just couldn't get them to match up this week. It's been a bit of a tough week for us both. In fact, scheduling-wise, it's getting a bit tricky at the moment to keep up with a weekly show. However, we want to keep content coming for you. So this week's show is a special one. Before Mark and I did this podcast, did Deep Blue Sea the podcast, I appeared as a guest on his show on Movies, Films and Flix several times, doing what we dubbed the Soggy Saga, where we covered a bunch of aquatic horror films. Why? I can't actually remember how this came about. He appeared on my show a few times, the Lambcast. I appeared on his show a couple of times, and between us we decided, hey, we should do a podcast on Deep Blue Sea, just one episode on Deep Blue Sea, and then that evolved into doing shows on Anaconda, Congo, Lake Placid, Piranha 3D, and Swim Fan. I think Swim Fan is actually where it started. Came up in combination one time. Doesn't matter. Either way, that's 6 episodes, all of which are Deep Blue Sea adjacent, and it feels like you should get the chance to listen to them. If you have been following the Movies, Films and Flix podcast, then you will have already heard all of these shows. If not, these are going to be new to you. So congratulations, well done, new shows. So today, this is a very special episode. This is the first time Mark and I ever talked about Deep Blue Sea. This was released for the 20th anniversary of Deep Blue Sea, so this was July 2019. This show came out, and it's just me and Mark talking for a little over an hour about Deep Blue Sea. And this is where our love of the film blossomed and bloomed. There's at one point where I mentioned a project I had to talk to him about offline. That project is this very podcast, is Deep Blue Sea the podcast. This is where the idea began. There's also, I listened to the episode today, this also kind of feels like a greatest hits of Deep Blue Sea the podcast, where a lot of the things that became regular discussions over the course of the 35 episodes about Deep Blue Sea are mentioned on this episode. So, but there's some new stuff as well. We have some new ideas in there, old ideas, I guess. So it's not entirely retreading old material. So it's a fun time. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll come back at the end of the show for a little outro. So this is 3 years ago at this point, me and Mark talking about Deep Blue Sea over on Movies, Films and Flix. Check it out.
Welcome to Movies, Films, and Flix. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who thinks Cyborg is the best movie to be released in 1989. It's Jake Lewitt.
If I had seen it, then yes, fine. Yeah. It may be the case. I cannot confirm or deny.
So we did I joined your show, the Lamb podcast, right? The Lambcast. The large association of movie blogs, and I joined it, and you picked Cyborg #1 for your 1989 draft in the first round.
You're confusing me with yourself, Mark.
Oh, you're right. I threw a wrench into that poor draft because people were going for some weird picks. And
to be fair, the wrench was thrown in from the first pick when another guy called Mark picked Ghostbusters 2 as the first film off the board.
Yeah.
Which I think was an odd choice. It's not a bad film, but it's an odd choice. And then you followed it up with Cyborg as the second pick off it. Meaning that I had the 5th pick and I got Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which to me is pick #1.
Everything went out the window. And then everyone's like, what movie are you going to pick next? I was like, Kiki's Delivery Service. And everyone's like, what?
You picked a good film.
What happened?
Amongst your Cyborg and Kickboxer and Halloween 5.
And Tango and Cash.
Tango and Cash, yeah.
Now, don't get me started on impassioned arguments about Halloween 5. I'll get going.
I never made it that far into the franchise.
I believe it was Richard. So if you listen to it, you just go to the Lambcast, you look for the 1989 draft. I went on this long speech about Halloween 5, and I believe it was Richard who went, I've never thought about it like that.
It was Tank, I think.
Yeah. Oh, Tank. Oh, my bad. Sorry. Richard. But yeah, he's like, I never thought about it like that. Wow. Like, I changed his life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, Tank's a big horror guy, a big fan of the Halloween franchise. So he works for Fright Rags. Get a plug in there for him. So he spends a lot of his time thinking about horror and thinking about the Halloween franchise. So I'm thinking if it's something even he hasn't thought about, then it's a unique perspective you have brought to the world, Mark, as you always do.
Hey, I wanted to geek out and tell him I own an Ernest Scared Stupid Fright Rags shirt, but I didn't do it.
Next time.
Yeah. I'll bring him on for Halloween 5.
I'm sure he'd love to talk about it.
I'll just talk about Halloween 5 every year. I'll just do the same 52 movies once a year.
Okay.
That'd be amazing.
I'll join you every July for Deep Blue Sea.
Dude, no, I'm doing one next year, so you're on. You're set, dude. It's a date.
I got to talk to you about that off mic. I got a project for you.
Oh, okay, sweet. I'll do it. All right, so I have so much to talk to you about, man.
Well, I can link this to the previous discussion in that we had a 1999 draft a couple of years ago, and I got Deep Blue Sea on my team in the 5th round.
Oh.
It made it through so many people not picking it, and I got it, and I don't think I won somehow, despite having Deep Blue Sea and Office Space and Election and Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels.
I would have voted for that in an instant.
I can't remember who won. It may have been me. I don't know. It's been a long time, but I think I should have won by like a huge margin.
Oh, wow. We just did an election pot. That's a great list, man. You just blew my mind.
And Magnolia, Dogma.
You make me want to draft normally.
Okay, thank you.
But I'm not.
You make me want to put some thought into what I'm actually picking.
No, I put a lot of thought. You should see my notes, dude. I had like 30 movies. People think I'm off the cuff on these, but I really go deep into this to come up with weird stuff. So like I guess I put thought into not put thought into it.
It's just the fact that your back-to-back picks for 2 Jean-Claude Van Damme films at the start is what I think threw everything off a little bit.
You took Roadhouse in the 2nd round, correct?
Yes, I did.
That was going to be my second pick. So
wow.
so you actually took that. So I was like, you know what? JCVD. Back to back. So you did. I was gonna go all down a line. I was gonna do like Red Scorpion with Dolph Lundgren, Tango and Cash. I was gonna do Roadhouse. I was gonna do this really like action oriented one, but it all went out the window, and I had my backups. So then that's why Halloween 5 and Kiki's got drafted.
Resurface.
Yeah. I had them all, man. I'm telling you, I had a big like 6 foot by 4 foot whiteboard I was staring at.
Yeah, pins and string all across your room.
Yeah, I mean, you guys had to wait a lot for me, but still.
Well, it's a fun show. I edit those bits out.
All right, so I got a lot to talk to you about. Do you know the comedian Mitch Hedberg?
Yes.
So you know that bit when he says like, I hold the microphone string together, and then when I drop it, a lot comes out. Many jokes come out at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I got for this movie. Because at the time of when this comes out on the 28th, you'll see 2 articles on movies from the Flix, an article on Rotten Tomatoes, and I don't know, I might write more. I'm crazy. So a bunch of stuff is going to come out, but I know this movie. I know everything I know things about this movie the director doesn't know about it. I'm pretty sure.
It's been I think Rennie Harlin's had a tough life at times, so I'd be surprised if he remembers everything he's ever done.
I tell you what though, I love listening to this commentary on this, and Sam Jackson's on it, and Sam Jackson's just making fun of Michael Rappaport the whole time. And Sam Jackson said he just took it. Yeah. No, he's like, Michael has no idea what's going on. He's like, he's just staring at a screen. He's like, people are talking smart, and he's pretending like he understands, but he has no clue. And then he talked about playing golf, and he said that there was a lot of accident, like Rennie Harlin just put his actors through it. And the production designer put down linoleum floors, so everyone was slipping all over the place. So Rennie was pissed about that.
Everyone, or just Thomas Jane?
Yeah, Thomas Jane was. But you watch it, he's on those linoleum floors, so he had a very hard time standing. So he just was.
Everyone else is okay?
Because he's action man. He's let's see. Sam Jackson was calling him like Captain Tom or something like that. And I read a review where someone called him a bionic stud muffin.
Not going to disagree.
But the beginning of this movie, I always hated it. What do you think about the beginning of Deep Blue Sea?
When they the boat that gets attacked?
Yeah, the bikini-clad appetizers.
It is very generic 90s noughts horror movie of get some bikinis in, threaten their lives, and no one dies, which is kind of a surprising way of approaching it. They all just get chucked into the water. But it doesn't set you up for the rest of the film. I think that's what I really like about Deep Blue Sea. Deep Blue Sea kind of, it sets things up and then pivots. It surprises you. So you think the opening scene, all these people are going to get killed by a shark, and those bikinis are probably going to fall off at some point. It doesn't do that. It sets up the threat, and then it kind of takes it away from you, which later on, it will not really set up a threat, and then it will kill Sam Jackson.
Oh, it's so good. I do think, hear me out, that shark didn't want to kill them. That shark escaped to test the Aquatica's response time and to see if they're being tracked. So it escaped.
I like it.
Carter Blake. Carter Blake, I love that name, by the way.
Yeah.
He found it immediately, right? And that thing got two tranquilizers in it, and it couldn't pull the boat. So it was faking it. It just said, I want to know how long it takes and what the response is. So when that happened, the Gen 1 shark comes back, talks to the other Gen 1 shark and the Gen 2 shark and says, listen, it took 43 minutes. I bumped some people, and they fell. So now that's going to get them news, because these things understand cameras. They understand flooding of strategic flooding, so they can communicate. And
so you're saying that this shark is Steve McQueen from The Great Escape?
Yes, it is. And it gets caught. Well, that's a perfect one because it gets caught.
Yeah, he escapes to plan out a map of the routes and then gets caught on purpose to come back and give the map to everyone back again.
It's no Andy Dufresne.
It's no Andy Dufresne.
So
well, he got out and stayed out.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman is not joining this shark. But this shark, I don't think it wanted to kill them, because in this movie, the two Gen 1 sharks, they never kill anybody. One of them eats Franklin's head, right? And the other one attacks LL Cool J, but it could have eaten LL Cool J, but instead it ate the bird, right?
The bird.
And then it let him jump over him. It slowed down, but it didn't expect that it would get blown up. The other one, I think, had wanted to kill Dr. Susan McAllister in her office. And it's crazy, because that shark had been waiting in her office. And earlier in the film, when she was dealing with her research, I'm talking your ear off, I'm sorry.
No, please go. I love this film, Mark, and I love listening to you talk about this film. So just talk. I'll sit here and listen. It's fine.
So she turns around and a shark swims away. So that shark then saw where her research is. Then later on, that shark is waiting in her room. She walks into her room, closes the door. It could have ran up on her and killed her at any moment. She goes to her locker, which the shark couldn't have gotten open. She gets her data, and that's when the shark attacks.
Do you think the shark wanted the data?
Yes. I don't think
to create more sharks like him?
They want to escape because they've been tortured. They've been fed other sharks. They want to destroy this data. They want to get rid of the master data because they know what it's done to them. And so they want that data gone. And, he gets zapped. The data does get destroyed. I mean, it's a kamikaze mission. It's successful in its own right. Rennie Harlan said he got studio notes, and that's why they added that scene. I thought it was pretty funny on the commentary. But those sharks, they wanted to destroy the data so no other sharks happened. And then that escape was all about response time. What do you think about that?
So what they say at the end when what does a 40,000 pound makeover dream about? It's the deep blue sea. It's not. They're dreaming about death. They just want to die, but also make sure that no other sharks suffer the same fate.
Yes,
I like it. So the whole herding them, they kind of want vengeance against people that have been torturing them, but they also want to die themselves and prevent it happening again in the future. I like it.
I think if these sharks can understand that destroying video cameras takes videos out. And if the shark, that shark was playing possum during the science scene, the testing scene where when they put the needles in its head, it jumps because it's just trying to play possum, but it went, oh dang, that hurt. And then so it almost gave itself up. It could have eaten McAllister, but that shark knew if it ate McAllister,
it needed the data first.
Yeah, that's right. So that's why it got Jim, because Jim's the other guy that does work on him.
Yeah.
And then in this movie, it kills Rappaport because there's two people, but then it lets Thomas Jane open that door. I mean, these things
it picks off with the weaker one who's just going to be of no use. Michael Rappaport is done at that point.
Yeah, and after he gives a thumbs up, you're like, he's dead.
Yeah, I love the DVD chapter title is called Thumbs Up Man Down.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So, I mean, this plan, what do you think? Does that kind of make